approximately 430 million people speak English as their first language. English today is the third largest language by number of native speakers, after Mandarin and Spanish. However, when combining native and non-native speakers, it is probably the most commonly spoken language in the world, though possibly second to a combination of the Chinese languages. Estimates that include second language speakers vary greatly from 470 million to over a billion, depending on how literacy or mastery is defined and measured. Linguistics professor David Crystal calculates that non-native speakers now outnumber native speakers by a ratio of 3 to 1. The countries with the highest populations of native English speakers are, in descending order, the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Nigeria, Ireland, South Africa, and New Zealand in a 2006 census. Countries such as the Philippines, Jamaica and Nigeria also have millions of native speakers of dialect continua ranging from an English-based Creole to a more standard version of English. Of those nations where English is spoken as a second language, India has the most such speakers. Crystal claims that, combining native and non-native speakers, India now has more people who speak or understand English than any other country in the world. English-speaking countries in order of total speakers: Belize, Jamaica, Trinidad, countries where English is a major language. English is the primary language in Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Bermuda, the British Indian Ocean Territory, the British Virgin Islands, Canada, the Cayman Islands, Dominica, the Falkland Islands, Gibraltar, Grenada, Guam, Guernsey, Guyana, Ireland, the Isle of Man, Jamaica, Jersey, Montserrat, Nauru, New Zealand, Pitcairn Islands, St. Helena, Ascension and Tristan da Cunha, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Singapore, South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands, South Sudan, Trinidad and Tobago, the Turks and Caicos Islands, the United Kingdom and the United States. In some countries where English is not the most spoken language, it is an official language. These countries include Botswana, Cameroon, the Federated States of Micronesia, Fiji, Gambia, Ghana, Hong Kong, India, Kenya, Kiribati, Lesotho, Liberia, Malta, the Marshall Islands, Mauritius, Namibia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Palay, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, Rwanda, St. Lucia, Samoa, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, the Solomon Islands, Sri Lanka, Sudan, South Africa, South Sudan, Swaziland, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Also, there are countries where in a part of the territory English became a co-official language, for example Colombia's San Andrés copyright S.Y. Providencia and Nicaragua's Mosquito Coast. This was a result of the influence of British colonization in the area. English is one of the 11 official languages that are given equal status in South Africa. It is also the official language in current dependent territories of Australia and of the United States, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the former British colony of Hong Kong. Although the United States federal government has no official languages, English has been given official status by 30 of the 50 state governments. Although falling short of official status, English is also an important language in several former colonies and protectorates of the United Kingdom, such as Bahrain, Bangladesh, Brunei, Cyprus, Malaysia, and the United Arab Emirates. English as a global language. Because English is so widely spoken, it has often been referred to as a world language, the lingua franca of the modern era, and while it is not an official language in most countries, it is currently the language most often taught as a foreign language. It is, by international treaty, the official language for aeronautical and maritime communications. English is one of the official languages of the United Nations and many other international organizations, including the International Olympic Committee. English is studied most often in the European Union, and the perception of the usefulness of foreign languages among Europeans is 67% in favor of English ahead of 17% for German and 16% for French. Among some of the non-English-speaking EU countries, The following percentages of the adult population claimed to be able to converse in English in 2012: 90% in the Netherlands, 89% in Malta, 86% in Sweden and Denmark, 73% in Cyprus and Austria, 70% in Finland, and over 50% in Greece, Luxembourg, Slovenia and Germany. In 2012, excluding native speakers, 38% of Europeans consider that they can speak English, but only 3% of Japanese people. Books, magazines, and newspapers written in English are available in many countries around the world, and English is the most commonly used language in the sciences, with Science Citation Index reporting as early as 1997 that 95% of its articles were written in English, even though only half of them came from authors in English-speaking countries. English literature predominates considerably, with 28% of all volumes published in the world, Lekkerlijk 2011, and 30% of web content in 2011. This increasing use of the English language globally has had a large impact on many other languages, leading to language shift and even language death, and to claims of linguistic imperialism. English itself has become more open to language shift as multiple regional varieties feed back into the language as a whole. Anglosphere. The Anglosphere is the set of countries where English is not only the widest spoken language, but the predominant one. References.